Admiral Kate Sullivan stared at the massive alien ship hanging in space above Earth. The thing was huge, bigger than any human-made vessel she had ever seen. It stretched 15 kilometers from front to back, covered in strange metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Smaller ships floated around it like guard dogs protecting their master. "How many people do you think are on that thing?" asked Commander Ryan Brooks, standing beside her on the bridge of Earth Defense Station Alpha. "Too many," Kate replied, her voice tight with worry. "And every one of them wants us dead or enslaved." The alien ship had appeared 3 hours ago without any warning. One moment, space around Earth was empty except for human vessels. The next moment, this monster was there, along with 20 smaller ships that were still larger than Earth's biggest battleships. Dr. Lisa Morgan rushed onto the bridge, holding a data pad in her shaking hands. "Admiral, we're getting a transmission from the alien vessel." It's in perfect English. Kate felt her blood turn cold. If these aliens could speak English perfectly, it meant they had been watching humanity for a long time. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and a face appeared that made everyone on the bridge step backward. The alien looked somewhat like a human, but wrong in every way. Its skin was pale gray, its eyes were too large and completely black, and when it spoke, they could see rows of sharp teeth. "Primitive species of the third planet," the creature said in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. "I am Fleet Marshal Zexthera of the Corvani hegemony. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire." Kate found her voice. "This is Admiral Sullivan of Earth Defense. You are not welcome here. Leave our space immediately." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "You misunderstand your situation, Primitive. We do not ask permission. We take what we require. You will surrender your world within 72 of your hours. Submit to hegemony rule and your deaths will be swift. Resist and your suffering will last for generations." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Captain Jake Henderson's voice crackled over the communication system from his deep space patrol ship. "Admiral, I'm getting reports from our outer colonies. Titan Base, Europa Station, and the Mars orbital platforms have all gone silent in the last 6 hours. Kate closed her eyes. The aliens had not just appeared at Earth. They had been systematically taking out humanity's outer defenses. "How many ships do we have available?" 47 combat vessels of various sizes, Brooks answered immediately. "Plus about 200 civilian ships that could be armed if we had time." "And they have 21 ships, each one bigger than our largest cruiser," Kate said. The math was simple and terrible. Dr. Morgan spoke up. "Admiral, I've been analyzing their transmission. The aliens know too much about us. They have detailed information about our military structure, our population centers, even our language patterns. They've been studying us for years, maybe decades." President Helen Carter's face appeared on a smaller screen. She looked older than her 60 years with deep lines around her eyes. "Admiral, I'm convening an emergency session of the United Earth Council. We need options." "With respect, Madam President, our options are limited," Kate replied. "We can surrender and hope they keep their word about quick deaths. Or we can fight and probably lose everyone." "There's a third option," said Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster, who had been quietly studying data at a corner station. "We can make them pay such a high price for Earth that other species will think twice before the Corvani try this again." General Peter Hayes appeared on another screen from Earth's military headquarters. "Colonel Foster, our weapons can barely scratch their shields. Our best ships are toys compared to theirs. What kind of price could we possibly make them pay?" Amy turned to face the group. "Sir, I've been studying their attack patterns from the outer colonies. The Corvani follow very predictable methods. They appear in overwhelming force, demand surrender, and expect immediate compliance. When species resist, they use massive firepower to crush resistance quickly." "That doesn't help us," Brooks said. "It does, sir. Because they expect quick victories, they're not prepared for long fights. Their tactics are designed to intimidate and overwhelm, not to adapt to changing situations. They're like bullies who've never had anyone fight back effectively." Kate felt a small spark of hope. "What are you suggesting, Colonel?" "That we don't fight them the way they expect. We don't line up our ships and have a proper battle. We make them chase us, confuse them, hit them where they don't expect it. We turn our weaknesses into advantages." Dr. Morgan nodded enthusiastically. "The Colonel is right. I've been analyzing the energy readings from their ships. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly complex. Complex systems have more points of failure. Engineer Carlos Martinez joined the conversation from his workshop in the asteroid belt. "Admiral, I've been working with the mining crews out here. We have equipment that could be turned into weapons. Not conventional weapons, but things that might work against aliens who don't expect them." Communications Officer Beth Adams spoke from her station on the far side of the solar system. "Ma'am, I'm picking up transmissions from some of the outer colonies. There are still resistance groups operating on the worlds the Corvani think they've conquered. If we coordinate with them..." Kate looked around at her officers and allies. They were scared, she could see it in their eyes. But they were also angry, and they were thinking. Humans were good at thinking their way out of impossible situations. "Madam President," Kate said, turning to face Carter's image on the screen, "I need authorization to begin Operation Broken Chain." "What's Operation Broken Chain?" Carter asked. "Something we're going to make up as we go along," Kate replied. "The aliens sent us chains expecting us to put them on quietly. Instead, we're going to show them what free humans do to chains." Captain Greg Phillips's voice came over the communication system from his stealth ship. "Admiral, the alien fleet is moving into a standard attack formation. It looks like they're preparing to begin bombardment of Earth's surface." Kate straightened her shoulders. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan. Prepare for Operation Broken Chain. We're going to teach these aliens that humans don't surrender. We don't give up, and we definitely don't go quietly into slavery." The alien fleet moved closer to Earth. Confident in their superior technology and firepower, they had conquered hundreds of worlds using the same tactics. They expected this primitive species to follow the same pattern as all the others. They were about to learn that humans were different. Very different. President Helen Carter stood before the cameras in the Emergency Broadcast Center. Behind her, display showed the alien fleet hanging menacingly over Earth. She had spent her entire political career dealing with difficult situations, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. "Citizens of Earth and her colonies," she began, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. 3 hours ago, an alien fleet arrived in our solar system and demanded our immediate surrender. They expect us to bow down and accept slavery or death." She paused, letting her words sink in across the billions of people watching. "My answer to them is simple. We reject their terms completely. Humanity has never bowed to tyrants, and we will not start now. They want Earth. They want our freedom. They want our children's future." Her voice grew stronger. "Then let them come and take it from our cold, dead hands." Across Earth and the remaining human colonies, people watched their president declare war on an enemy that could destroy them all. In homes and offices, on ships and space stations, humans made their choice. They chose to fight. Fleet Admiral Sam Turner stood in the command center of Earth's largest space station, surrounded by screens showing ship positions throughout the solar system. "All right, people, you heard the president. Operation Broken Chain is now active. This is not going to be a fair fight, and that's exactly how we want it." Colonel Amy Foster stepped up to the main display. "Our strategy is simple. We cannot match their firepower, so we don't try. Instead, we use every dirty trick we know. We hit and run. We ambush them. We make them think they're fighting ghosts." Engineer Carlos Martinez was already deep in the asteroid belt with his mining crews, working frantically to convert their equipment into weapons. His background in blowing up asteroids for valuable minerals was about to become very useful in a different way. "Boss, you really think we can hurt those alien ships with mining charges?" asked Tony, one of his crew members. Carlos smiled grimly as he welded explosive charges to the hull of a mining drone. "Tony, I've been blowing things up in space for 15 years. Trust me, if it can crack an asteroid, it can crack alien armor. We just need to get close enough." Dr. Lisa Morgan worked in her laboratory, surrounded by fragments of alien technology that Captain Jake Henderson's scouts had recovered from the outer colonies. The pieces were small, but they told her important things about how Corvani technology worked. "Their shields operate on a specific frequency pattern," she explained to her research team. "It's incredibly sophisticated, but that sophistication might be their weakness. If we can match the frequency exactly and then reverse it, their own shields might work against them," finished Dr. Sarah Kim, one of her assistants. "It's brilliant, but can we build weapons that precise?" "We're about to find out," Lisa replied. Diving back into her calculations, Captain Greg Phillips guided his stealth frigate through the outer edges of the solar system, staying hidden while he studied the alien fleet. His ship was small and quiet, designed for reconnaissance rather than fighting. But sometimes information was more valuable than weapons. "They're maintaining perfect formation," he reported to Admiral Turner. "Every ship exactly where their computers say it should be. They're not adapting to our solar system's unique conditions. They're flying like they're still in open space." "Good," Turner replied. "Predictable enemies are dead enemies." Communications Officer Beth Adams worked her magic from her hidden station, reaching out to resistance fighters on the conquered colonies. The aliens thought they had secured those worlds, but humans were stubborn about being conquered. "This is Beth calling all resistance cells," she transmitted on encrypted frequencies. "Operation Broken Chain is active. Prepare for coordinated uprising in 18 hours. The responses came back quickly from Mars, Europa, Titan, and the other captured settlements. "We're ready," came the reply from Mars. "We've been waiting for this." Captain Jake Henderson led a squadron of fast attack ships toward the alien fleet's outer perimeter. His job was to probe their defenses and see how they reacted to threats. What he found surprised him. "Admiral, their response time is slower than expected," he reported. "When we approach, it takes them almost 30 seconds to react. For ships this advanced, that's an eternity." "They're overconfident," Amy Foster observed. "They expect us to run away, so they're not maintaining full combat readiness." Back on Earth, ordinary citizens were doing extraordinary things. Factory workers converted production lines to make weapons and ammunition. Teachers organized evacuation centers for children. Farmers worked around the clock to stockpile food in case of siege. In orbit around Earth, civilian ships lined up at military stations to receive weapon upgrades. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small personal craft were being turned into fighting vessels. None of them would last long against alien warships, but that wasn't the point. "We don't need to win ship-to-ship battles," Admiral Turner explained to the civilian captains. "We just need to cause confusion, create chaos, and make them think there are threats everywhere." Dr. Morgan made her breakthrough late in the day. "I've found it," she announced to the command center. "Their shield frequency. If we can modify our weapons to match this pattern, we can punch through their defenses." "How long to modify our weapons?" Turner asked. 6 hours for the first batch, 12 hours for the full fleet," Lisa replied. "Do it," Turner ordered. "Whatever you need, you get." As night fell over Earth, the alien fleet began moving closer. Fleet Marshal Zexathara sent another transmission, this one shorter and more threatening. "Primitive humans," the alien commander said, his black eyes gleaming with cruel anticipation. "Your time is nearly over. Surrender now, and some of you may live as slaves. Continue this foolish resistance, and we will burn your world to ash." President Carter's response was broadcast on all frequencies, including those the aliens were monitoring. "Marshal Zexathara, you've made one crucial mistake. You think we're fighting for our lives. We're not. We're fighting for our freedom, and that makes us far more dangerous than you can imagine." Throughout the solar system, human ships took their positions. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing technology beyond their understanding. But they had something the aliens didn't expect: the absolute refusal to surrender. Admiral Turner looked at his fleet deployment on the main screen. 47 military vessels, 200 armed civilian ships, and countless smaller craft carrying everything from improvised weapons to suicide charges. It wasn't much against an alien armada, but it was what they had. "All ships," he broadcast to the entire human fleet. "This is Admiral Turner. In a few hours, we're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten free people. Remember, we're not trying to match their strength. We're going to be faster, smarter, and more stubborn than they ever imagined possible." Colonel Foster watched the alien fleet's approach pattern on her tactical display. They were following textbook invasion procedures exactly as predicted. "They're making this too easy," she murmured. The final pieces of Operation Broken Chain fell into place as human ships spread throughout the solar system like a hidden web. The aliens saw what appeared to be a desperate last stand forming around Earth. They had no idea they were flying into the largest trap humanity had ever set. In 12 hours, the real fighting would begin. The first shots of the war came from the aliens. Fleet Marshal Zexathara ordered his fleet to advance toward Earth in their standard conquest formation, with the massive flagship at the center and smaller vessels arranged in perfect geometric patterns around it. Admiral Kate Sullivan watched from Earth Defense Station Alpha as energy beams lanced out from the alien ships, targeting human vessels that appeared to be fleeing in panic. 3 human destroyers exploded in brilliant flashes of light, their crews dying instantly. Phase 1 is working, she said grimly. They think we're running scared. Captain Greg Phillips crouched in the command center of his stealth ship, hidden behind a large asteroid. His vessel was so small and quiet that the alien sensors couldn't detect it. Around him, his crew worked silently, preparing for their part in Operation Broken Chain. Target the Big One's communication array, Phillips whispered to his weapons officer. Dr. Morgan's frequency disruptor is loaded and ready. The stealth ship emerged from behind the asteroid like a ghost, racing toward the alien flagship at maximum speed. The Corvani sensors detected the small human vessel, but they dismissed it as unimportant. What threat could such a tiny ship pose to their mighty dreadnought? They found out when Phillips' modified torpedo struck their main communication tower. Instead of exploding, the weapon released Dr. Morgan's frequency disruptor, sending chaotic signals through the alien ship's communication systems. Suddenly, the flagship couldn't talk to the rest of the fleet. Direct hit, Phillips reported as his ship dove back into the asteroid field. Their command structure is blind. The alien fleet continued their advance, but now they were operating on pre-programmed orders instead of real-time commands. Admiral Turner smiled as he watched their formation become rigid and predictable. Now for Phase 2, Turner announced. Martinez, you're up. Deep in the asteroid belt, engineer Carlos Martinez watched the alien fleet approach through his improvised periscope. Around him, converted mining ships waited in silence, their hulls packed with explosive charges and improvised weapons. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their ships, Martinez told his crews over short-range radio. We're trying to hurt them, confuse them, and make them think we're everywhere at once. The mining vessels emerged from concealment among the asteroids, their industrial-grade cutting beams and explosive charges targeting the alien ship's shield generators. The Corvani had never faced weapons designed for cracking asteroids, and their shields struggled to adapt to the unusual energy patterns. Their port shield is fluctuating, reported Maria Santos, captain of the mining ship Big Bertha, switching to armor-piercing charges. The modified mining charges punched through weakened shields and bit into alien armor. 3 Corvani destroyers found themselves with hull breaches and failing systems. They weren't destroyed, but they were hurt and confused. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Foster led the most dangerous part of the operation. Her team of Marines had volunteered for what everyone knew was likely a suicide mission, boarding an alien vessel. Remember, we're not trying to capture the ship, Foster told her team as their modified escape pods approached a damaged Corvani destroyer. We get in, download everything we can from their computers, plant our charges, and get out. If we're lucky, we might live through this. The escape pods, designed to look like debris from destroyed human ships, drifted toward the alien vessel. The Corvani crew, focused on repairing their damaged shields, didn't notice the small objects attaching to their hull. Foster's team cut through the alien armor with plasma torches and found themselves inside a corridor filled with the enemy. The Corvani were tall and thin, with pale gray skin and large black eyes. They moved gracefully but seemed surprised by the sudden appearance of humans inside their ship. They're not as tough as they look, Foster observed as her team fought their way toward the ship's computer core. The aliens were technologically advanced, but they weren't physically stronger than humans. More importantly, they weren't used to close-quarters combat. Her team reached the computer core and began downloading alien data while planting explosive charges throughout the ship. The information they gathered would prove invaluable, but first they had to survive long enough to deliver it. Charges set, reported Sergeant Mike Johnson. We've got maybe 3 minutes before this thing becomes a very big firecracker. Foster's team fought their way back to their escape pods as alarms wailed throughout the alien ship. They launched just as the charges detonated, crippling the Corvani destroyer and providing cover for their escape. The battle's turning point came when Captain Jake Henderson led a coordinated attack on the alien fleet's left flank. His squadron of fast attack ships used hit-and-run tactics, striking at damaged vessels and then disappearing back into the asteroid field. Their formation is breaking apart, Henderson reported. They're starting to panic. Admiral Turner watched the tactical display as the carefully planned Corvani formation dissolved into chaos. Without central communication, the alien ships were operating independently, making them vulnerable to the coordinated human attacks. All ships, begin final assault, Turner ordered. Target their damaged vessels first. Don't let any of them recover. The combined human fleet converged on the confused alien ships from all directions. Civilian vessels armed with improvised weapons joined military ships in a desperate assault. Many human ships were destroyed, but they took alien vessels with them. Fleet Marshal Zexathara stood on his flagship's bridge, watching his perfect formation fall apart. His communication systems were still damaged, several of his ships were crippled, and these primitive humans were fighting with a ferocity he had never encountered. "How are they doing this?" he demanded of his tactical officer. "Their weapons are inferior. Their ships are smaller. They should be running in terror." "Marshal, they're not fighting like any species we've encountered," the tactical officer replied. "They're using unpredictable tactics, improvised weapons, and coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Our computers cannot calculate their next move because they don't follow logical patterns." The battle raged for 6 hours. When it was over, the humans had lost over half their fleet, but they had achieved something no other species had ever done. They had hurt the Corvani. 3 alien destroyers were destroyed, 2 cruisers were crippled, and the flagship was damaged. More importantly, the humans had proven something to themselves and to their enemies. They could fight back. They could hurt the seemingly invincible aliens. They could make the Corvani pay a price for every human life taken. Admiral Sullivan looked at the tactical display showing the positions of surviving ships. The human fleet was badly mauled, but it was still fighting. The aliens had taken losses they never expected and were clearly shaken by the unexpected resistance. "All ships fall back to defensive positions around Earth," she ordered. "We've bloodied their nose. Now let's see how they respond to being hurt." Fleet Marshal Zexathara received reports from his damaged ships and felt something he had rarely experienced: doubt. These humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to surrender or die quickly. Instead, they had fought like cornered animals and actually damaged his fleet. "Bring in the reinforcements," he ordered. "All of them. I want 50 ships for the final assault. These primitives will learn the price of defying the Corvani hegemony." As the alien reinforcements began arriving, humanity prepared for what would likely be their final battle. They had won the first round, but the aliens were bringing overwhelming force to bear. The real test was yet to come. Admiral Turner gathered his surviving captains for a final briefing. "We've proven we can hurt them," he said. "Now we need to prove we can beat them. Operation Broken Chain moves to Phase 3. We're going to show these aliens what humans do when we're backed into a corner." The stage was set for the final confrontation. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, defended by the battered remnants of humanity's fleet. Approaching from deep space came 50 alien warships, intent on ending human resistance once and for all. The next battle would determine whether humanity lived free or died fighting. The Corvani reinforcements arrived like a dark cloud blotting out the stars. Admiral Kate Sullivan counted 50 alien warships, more than twice the size of the original invasion force. Each vessel was larger and more heavily armed than anything humanity had ever built. "They're really angry now," it observed Commander Ryan Brooks as he watched the alien fleet take formation around the damaged flagship. "Good," Sullivan replied. "Angry enemies make mistakes." Fleet Marshal Zexathara stood on his rebuilt command bridge, his black eyes burning with rage. The primitive humans had damaged his fleet, killed his soldiers, and made him look weak in front of his superiors. This insult would not stand. "Begin orbital bombardment of their major cities," he ordered. "I want these creatures to watch their civilization burn before we finish them." The first energy beams lanced down from the alien fleet toward Earth's surface. New York, London, Tokyo, and a dozen other major cities found themselves under attack from space. Millions of people fled to underground shelters as the aliens began their campaign of terror. But humanity had prepared for this moment. Dr. Lisa Morgan's frequency weapons had been distributed to every remaining human ship, and engineer Carlos Martinez had positioned his modified mining platforms throughout the outer solar system. The real battle was about to begin. "All resistance cells, this is Communications Officer Beth Adams," she broadcast on encrypted channels. "Execute Operation Uprising now. Show them that conquered humans are never really conquered." Across the captured colonies, human resistance fighters emerged from hiding. On Mars, they destroyed the alien communications center with improvised explosives. On Europa, they sabotaged the alien water processing plants. On Titan, they captured a Corvani supply depot and turned its weapons against their former captors. The coordinated uprisings forced the aliens to split their attention. Suddenly, they were fighting on multiple fronts across the solar system. exactly as Colonel Amy Foster had planned. Their fleet is spreading out to deal with the rebellions, reported Captain Greg Phillips from his hidden position in the asteroid field. They're breaking formation to cover more territory. Admiral Sam Turner smiled grimly. Perfect. Divided enemies are weak enemies. All ships prepare for Operation Ghost Strike. The human plan was audacious in its simplicity. Instead of fighting a conventional space battle they couldn't win, they would use the aliens' own strengths against them. The Corvani ships were powerful but inflexible, advanced but predictable. Martinez's hidden weapons platforms activated simultaneously across the outer solar system. The aliens had dismissed these objects as space debris, never realizing they were actually camouflaged weapon systems powered by mining fusion reactors. Surprise, Martinez muttered as his platforms opened fire on the scattered alien vessels. The mining platforms had been designed to break apart asteroids, but Dr. Morgan's modifications turned them into precision weapons capable of punching through alien armor. The frequency-matched energy beams sliced through Corvani shields like they weren't there. 3 alien cruisers found themselves under attack from weapons that appeared out of nowhere. Their sensors had never detected the hidden platforms, and their tactical computers couldn't calculate threat responses to enemies they couldn't see. Captain Jake Henderson led a squadron of fast attack ships in a coordinated strike on the alien flagship. His ships moved in patterns that confused the Corvani targeting systems, weaving between their larger vessels like angry insects. Remember, we're not trying to destroy the big one, Henderson told his pilots. We're trying to blind it, confuse it, and make it angry enough to do something stupid. The human ships targeted the flagship's sensor arrays and communication systems with Dr. Morgan's frequency weapons. Each hit disrupted the alien ship's ability to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. Colonel Foster led another boarding operation, this time targeting a Corvani command cruiser that had moved too close to Earth's defensive perimeter. Her Marines used the same disguised escape pod technique that had worked before, but this time they had a different objective. We're not here to blow up the ship, she told her team as they cut through alien armor. We're here to capture it. Those aliens in the prison cells back home need transportation off this planet, and this ship will do nicely. The fighting inside the alien vessel was fierce but brief. The Corvani crew, despite their advanced technology, proved no match for human Marines trained in close-quarters combat. Within an hour, Foster's team had control of the ship's bridge and engineering sections. "This is Foster to Fleet Command," she reported. "We have a new toy to play with." The aliens were kind enough to leave the instruction manual in their computers. Dr. Morgan worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing data downloaded from captured alien systems. Each piece of information revealed new weaknesses in Corvani technology and tactics. "Their ships are networked," she announced to the command center. "Each vessel shares processing power with the others. It makes them incredibly efficient. But it also means that if we can overload one ship's systems, the effect will cascade through the entire fleet." "How do we overload their systems?" Turner asked. "We give them more information than they can process," Morgan replied with a dangerous smile. "We make them think there are threats everywhere." The human fleet implemented Dr. Morgan's suggestion by deploying thousands of small decoy drones throughout the battle area. Each drone broadcast fake sensor signatures that mimicked human warships. To the alien computers, it suddenly appeared that humanity had a fleet of 10,000 vessels. The Corvani tactical systems went into overload trying to track and target all the apparent threats. Their response time slowed dramatically as their computers struggled to process the impossible amount of data. "Their entire fleet is operating at half efficiency," reported Phillips. "Their targeting systems can't distinguish between real ships and decoys." Admiral Turner seized the moment. "All ships full assault. Hit them while they're blind and confused." The remaining human fleet, supported by Martinez's hidden platforms and Foster's captured alien ship, converged on the scattered Corvani vessels. The aliens found themselves fighting enemies that appeared and disappeared like ghosts, using weapons that shouldn't have been able to penetrate their defenses. Fleet Marshal Zexthara watched his fleet fall into chaos and felt something he had never experienced before: fear. These humans were impossible to predict, impossible to understand, and apparently impossible to defeat using conventional tactics. "Marshal, our casualty reports are coming in," his tactical officer reported with barely controlled panic. 15 ships destroyed, 23 damaged, and we've lost contact with 7 vessels that may have been captured. How is this possible? Zexthara demanded. They have inferior technology, smaller ships, fewer resources. By every logical calculation, they should have been defeated hours ago. Sir, I don't think these humans follow logical calculations, the tactical officer replied. They seem to operate on principles our computers cannot understand. The battle reached its climax when Captain Henderson's squadron coordinated with Martinez's platforms to execute a devastating crossfire attack on the alien flagship. The massive vessel, already damaged from previous engagements, found itself caught between multiple sources of precisely targeted fire. All weapons, target their main reactor, Henderson ordered. If we can overload their power systems, that big ship becomes a very expensive piece of space junk. The combined human attack overwhelmed the flagship's defenses. Its shields collapsed, its armor cracked, and its reactor began to destabilize. Fleet Marshal Zexthara had just enough time to order his crew to abandon ship before the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant fireball that lit up the entire solar system. The destruction of their flagship broke the remaining Corvani fleet's morale. Ships that had seemed invincible just hours before began to retreat, their crews no longer confident in their technological superiority. Admiral Sullivan watched the alien retreat and felt a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. All ships pursue the retreating vessels. Don't let any of them escape to report what happened here. President Carter addressed the world from her emergency bunker, her voice carrying hope for the first time since the invasion began. Citizens of Earth, I'm proud to report that our defenders have achieved the impossible. The alien fleet is in full retreat and Earth remains free. But Admiral Turner knew the fight wasn't over yet. Scattered Corvani ships were still trying to escape, and some were attempting to regroup for another attack. The final phase of Operation Broken Chain was about to begin. This is Turner to all ships, he broadcast. We've broken their main force, but we're not done yet. Hunt down every alien vessel. Make sure none of them leave this system alive. Today we teach the galaxy that humans don't surrender, don't submit, and don't forgive those who threaten our freedom. The hunt began at dawn on Earth, though in the darkness of space, time had little meaning. Admiral Kate Sullivan coordinated the pursuit from Earth Defense Station Alpha, watching as human ships spread throughout the solar system to track down fleeing Corvani vessels. 17 alien ships are attempting to escape toward the outer planets, reported Commander Ryan Brooks. Another 12 are hiding in the asteroid belt. The rest appear to be regrouping near Jupiter. Sullivan nodded grimly. They came here expecting an easy conquest. Now they're learning what happens when you underestimate humanity. Captain Greg Phillips led the hunt through the asteroid belt, his stealth ship perfectly suited for tracking enemies trying to hide among the rocks. His sensors detected 3 Corvani vessels attempting to repair their damaged systems in the shadow of a large asteroid. "Found you," Phillips whispered as his ship moved into attack position. The aliens never saw him coming. Dr. Lisa Morgan's frequency weapons had been refined during the battle, and now they could completely overload Corvani shields with a single shot. The 3 hidden ships were destroyed before they could send a distress signal. Engineer Carlos Martinez commanded his mining platforms like a chess master, positioning them to intercept fleeing aliens throughout the outer system. His crews had become expert at using industrial equipment as weapons of war. "Martinez to Fleet Command," he reported. "We've got 4 alien ships trying to escape through the asteroid belt. They're flying in single file, probably following their computer's recommended safe course." "That makes them predictable," observed Colonel Amy Foster from the bridge of her captured Corvani cruiser. "And predictable enemies are dead enemies." Martinez's platforms opened fire in sequence, creating a deadly gauntlet that the fleeing aliens had to navigate. The first ship made it through damaged but intact. The second ship lost its engines and began drifting helplessly. The third and fourth ships were completely destroyed. "One got away," Martinez reported, "but it's leaking atmosphere and won't get far." Admiral Sam Turner led the main pursuit force toward Jupiter, where the largest group of surviving Corvani ships had gathered. Intelligence from Foster's captured vessel indicated they were trying to establish a temporary command structure to coordinate their escape. "They're still thinking like an empire," Turner observed to his tactical staff. "They can't imagine that a primitive species could have actually defeated them. They're regrouping because that's what their doctrine says to do." The human fleet found the aliens attempting to form a defensive perimeter around one of Jupiter's moons. 19 Corvani vessels, many of them damaged, were trying to protect their temporary command ship while it prepared escape coordinates. "This is Admiral Turner to the Corvani vessels," he broadcast on all frequencies. "You have one chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Refuse and we will destroy you all." The alien response came in the form of energy beams fired at the approaching human ships. They had chosen to fight rather than surrender. "So be it," Turner said. "All ships attack formation. Show them what human determination looks like." The final battle was swift and decisive. The Corvani ships, already damaged and demoralized, could not match the coordinated assault of the human fleet. Dr. Morgan's frequency weapons cut through their defenses like paper, while Martinez's converted mining ships used their industrial, cutting beams to slice alien hulls apart. Captain Jake Henderson led his squadron in a series of precision strikes that methodically disabled the alien command ship. "We want prisoners," he announced. "Someone needs to carry our message back to their empire." The last Corvani resistance ended when Colonel Foster's captured cruiser used its own weapons against the remaining alien vessels. The irony was not lost on anyone watching. The aliens were being destroyed by their own technology, operated by humans who had learned to use it better than its creators. Fleet Marshal Zex Thara was pulled from the wreckage of his command ship by human marines. The proud alien commander who had arrived expecting easy conquest was now a prisoner, his fleet destroyed, his invasion crushed. He was brought before Admiral Sullivan on Earth Defense Station Alpha, his black eyes filled with confusion and something that might have been fear. "I do not understand," he said through his translation device. "Your species is primitive. Your technology is inferior. Your ships are small and weak. How did you defeat us?" Sullivan studied the alien commander with cold eyes. "You made a fundamental error, Marshal. You assumed that superior technology guarantees victory. You forgot about the human spirit." "Spirit?" Zex Thara seemed genuinely puzzled by the concept. "What is spirit against plasma cannons and shield generators?"
"Spirit is what makes humans fight when any logical species would surrender," Sullivan explained.
"Spirit is what makes us turn mining equipment into weapons. Spirit is what makes us board your ships with nothing but determination and improvised explosives. Spirit is why we refuse to accept chains no matter who offers them." Dr. Morgan joined the conversation, carrying a datapad filled with analysis of captured Corvani technology. "Your empire conquers through intimidation and overwhelming force. You've probably never faced a species that could adapt quickly enough to turn your own tactics against you." "Your computers are very advanced," added Engineer Martinez, "but they can only process logical responses to logical threats. Humans aren't logical. We're creative, stubborn, and completely unpredictable." President Helen Carter arrived at the station to personally address the captured alien commander. "Marshal Zex Thara, you came here with chains for humanity. Instead, you found coffins for your fleet. I want you to carry a message back to your empire." The alien commander straightened despite his injuries. "What message?" "Tell your leaders that Earth stands free," Carter said firmly. "Tell them that any force sent against humanity will meet the same fate as yours. Tell them that humans don't surrender, don't submit, and don't forgive those who threaten our children's future." Communications Officer Beth Adams had spent the final battle coordinating with resistance fighters on the liberated colonies. Her reports painted a picture of complete human victory across the solar system. "All outer colonies are reporting in," she announced. "The Corvani occupation forces have been eliminated or captured. Our people are free." The cleanup operation took 3 days. Human ships scoured the solar system for any remaining alien presence, while engineering teams began the massive task of analyzing captured Corvani technology. Dr. Morgan's research teams worked around the clock to understand alien science, while maintaining humanity's tactical advantages. "We can't let ourselves become dependent on their technology," she warned during a strategy meeting. "Our strength came from being unpredictable and adaptive. If we start thinking like them, we might start losing like them." Admiral Turner agreed. "We'll study their tech, learn from it, but we keep our human approach to warfare. The moment we start following their rules is the moment we become vulnerable to someone who doesn't." The captured Corvani ships were converted into a small fleet to carry the surviving aliens back to their empire. The journey would take months, giving the prisoners plenty of time to think about what had happened to their seemingly invincible fleet. "Captain," Phillips commanded the escort vessels that would ensure the aliens reached their destination safely. Remember, Turner told him, we want them to arrive alive and tell their story. The best deterrent to future invasions is the truth about what happened here. As the alien survivors departed the solar system, President Carter addressed the people of Earth and her colonies one final time. Today we prove that freedom is stronger than any weapon, that determination can overcome any technology, and that humans will never bow to tyranny. The epilogue to humanity's victory came months later, when long-range sensors detected something unexpected: alien ships approaching the solar system again. But these were not Corvani vessels. They were ships from species that had heard about humanity's victory and wanted to meet the people who had done the impossible. Admiral Sullivan received the first transmission from the approaching fleet. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the message began. "We are representatives of the Free Worlds Alliance. We have heard that you defeated a Corvani invasion fleet. If this is true, we would very much like to talk." The human victory had consequences far beyond their solar system. Word spread throughout the galaxy about the species that had turned mining equipment into weapons, converted cargo ships into warships, and defeated the mighty Corvani hegemony through sheer determination and creative thinking. Other enslaved species began to rise against their oppressors, inspired by humanity's example. The Corvani Empire, which had seemed invincible for centuries, suddenly found itself fighting rebellions on dozens of worlds, and it all began because they had underestimated a small blue planet whose people refused to wear chains. Admiral Sullivan stood on the observation deck of Earth Defense Station Alpha, looking out at the stars where other species were learning to fight for their freedom. "They sent chains for humanity," she said quietly, "and received coffins for their fleets. I wonder what they'll send next." Commander Brooks joined her at the viewport. "Whatever they send, we'll be ready. Humans have a talent for turning the impossible into the inevitable.